We can't have 20 colours all out at the same time because they won't get used quick enough. Okay, so you've got to be a little bit careful with how many you actually do have out. Now, what I did, I sort of left this. Okay, this was a print that was done yesterday afternoon, but I got it to be left on here so that you can sort of see what happens at the end. I think this should hopefully, there we go, pop off reasonably easily. So what you actually end up with, can you see this part at the bottom? That part is called a raft, okay? And there's sort of 5 outer lines here that's called a brim. Looks like a brim of a hat, okay? And the idea of that, the raft and the brim sticks it down to this, okay? This blue tape, most of the time, okay, works quite well and it will stick down, okay? Sometimes what happens, is as it's actually printing, this raft can start to come up, okay, and sort of peel off the bed. And then obviously you carry on printing and your sort of 3D print is slightly off. The reason that happens, well, actually think about what's happening. You know, the PLA is being heated up, isn't it? Okay, in here, and deposited down on this bed. So what do you think is going to happen as something cools down?
It's going to shrink.
It's going to contract, isn't it? It's going to contract and shrink, and that's exactly what happens. And sometimes it will peel up, okay, off this bed. Right, so that's something to sort of bear in mind. Now, I don't know if you can see on the little screen there, that image looks like a cotton reel. Fellas, look at that. Does that look anything like that? No. Any idea why?
You have to have supports to keep the top of it up.
So, if we didn't have this here, okay, what would happen when it came to do this part? It would be firing in mid-air. Okay, so basically, it would do that part at the bottom, it'll come up, get to the top, and then start to do this. And then basically, what would happen? Gravity will take charge, and okay, all of this stuff at the top would fall down. So you have to build up this support structure, and you can see as I'm moving my finger on it. Okay, it's really quite weak, isn't it? Okay, so it's just sort of will be very, very easy to break out. Okay, so you need to have support structure. That's hugely important. Does depend on what you're printing. Okay, if I didn't have the top on there, I could get away without having support structure entirely. Make sense? Okay. So what I'm going to try and do now, we're probably not going to get anything actually printed as such, because it just does take a bit of time. So we'll try and drop on the file that we actually looked at a little bit earlier on. So you've got your STL file, which I've managed to get hold of, and you should be able to just drop it, okay, on here, or whir away. There we go. Make that a bit bigger. Do you see that? Okay. Now, orientation of that. That's quite important. If you look at that object, it's a phone holder, Mr. Matthews, guys, and you see that? You can move it all around. Do you think that is the best way of printing that?
No.
Why?
You need support structure.
I need support structure, don't I? Because this part here is in sort of fresh air, isn't it? Okay, so I would need support structure. So I would probably...
Could you put it on its side, sir?
Sorry?
Could you put it on its side, sir?
Yes, that's exactly what I'm going to do. I can then click on this here, and you can, it's like a orientate button, and what you can do is you can move this through different axes. Yeah? So that there, I think, would probably be the best way of doing that, wouldn't it? You might want to just have a quick look at the bed and see. So that area there, I would probably try and avoid that, okay, where something's been. So I might go and sort of position it up here. And what you can do, guys, is you can just drag and drop it, okay? And you can rotate this all around. It's always well to actually make sure it's lying flat on the bed. It should do it, but you can press this button here. Now, what I'll do is I will go to some of the settings here. I always try and print with a base on it, okay, with this sort of base. And I've been using these brims as well, because it does hopefully sort of guarantee it's actually going to stick down. Okay, so you've got this option here. I tend to go for this padded base with brims. All right, it usually defaults to having support on there as well. Okay, what I'm going to do now is if I hit this, which basically does a little preview of the whole thing. Okay, it'll whir around a little bit. It's going to take a couple of seconds. Okay, and it will then sort of generate what should be happening here. Okay, it does take a bit of time. That's basically the file that it will send over to the machine. Okay, so obviously you can put some different parts and stuff on here. Quite interesting. Okay, if I zoom in to this, guys, can you see this yellow around the bottom? Okay, that there is obviously support material. It's that brim. Okay, it will probably, if I go around the other side, can you see? There's a bit of support structure in there as well, because it's assuming that that might, okay, fall down here. So it's actually built something up in here. Okay, what we can do also, this is quite interesting, you can go layer to layer here as well. Okay, and you can sort of see what it's going to do. So what's it do? It's got layer up to layer 768. You can take off. You can sort of see what's sort of going on. Okay. Now, something else that's quite interesting. You can make the whole thing, the whole object, completely solid of PLA. Okay. I wouldn't advise it because you don't need it. But what it can do is you can decide a percentage on how much it actually fills, and that's usually under the settings here. Okay, you probably have to delve into this a little bit deeper. Okay, custom settings. I imagine infill. All right, there's got to be. There we go. Infill density. That's on 3%, which is quite low. All right, so what it actually is, inside there, if I was to break that apart, okay, I would have like a honeycomb. I don't know if you can see that.
So on those, it's rectangles.
Yeah. Okay, see the honeycomb there? Okay, you can change the shapes on here. Okay, upstairs you can't, okay, but on here you can. So that's the infill density, how much material it actually then uses. Okay. So once you're then ready, okay, I mean, perhaps I'll just press print here. Okay, so I think it's it says it's busy. It might not like it. It says idle now. So okay, so this is finishing at 6:35. So it's going to take 6 hours to print. Okay. So you can play around a little bit.
I might stop recording before then.
Now,
6 hours.
sorry. That's fine. I'll come on. What it's doing now, guys, okay, is obviously started to heat up. It's saying here, okay, 46 degrees. It's got a target, okay. Guys, that nozzle there will get incredibly hot. It will burn you, okay. You don't want to be touching that. Okay, I'm sure, Daniel, I've burnt myself. I'm sure you probably have over the, you haven't, you've been very sensible. Okay. Well, no, it's not necessarily stupid enough to touch it, it's more I was taking it apart when, because the extruder you can obviously take apart, okay, as well. So it does take a little bit of time. What it normally does, it will come to the front and it will purge. Does anybody know what purge means?
Get rid of.
Get rid of. So what it will do, it will basically purge out the extruder along here. So it's got a nice bit of plastic coming out, and then it will then go off and start to put this brim on. Okay.
What's it doing now?
Sorry? It's transferring. So I don't know. Can't read it. 99%. And then you've got to wait until it heats up as well. So it's still got to heat up.
Are these the best printers you can get?
No, you can get all sorts of different types. You can even get rapid prototyping, guys. Rapid prototyping. You can print in metal. Okay, you can instead of using this is basically a plastic coming out here, and you melt it. What you can do with metal is use a laser onto metal powder. So you lay out metal powder, and the laser comes along and sinters the powder together. Okay, and then over the top comes another layer of powder, laser. Okay, so you can actually make metal parts, guys. We can't get it in school yet. It's far, 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 far too expensive. Saying that, okay, you think how quickly these have perhaps come sort of mainstream. 3D printers have been around about sort of 20, 30 years. Okay, only come sort of mainstream, sort of, you know, in schools in the last sort of 5 or so.
We might get a wax one before we get a metal one, which would be cool because then we can then we can do lost wax casting. So you can get metal and you can pour it into a mould shape. So that's
quite cool.
So it's coming up to speed now. There you go. So we're about 7 degrees off. Okay.
Yeah, probably will.
Yeah, we should better get it all. I'm
be in
just
your
gonna get
time,
this
I
started,
should
Cass.
imagine. Yeah. Oh well, we'll push for it anyway.
And what we'll do is we'll get them queued up because we can't print them all at the same time. So here we go. So it's purging now. It's always a good thing to actually check that that's actually coming out okay.
How much will this cost?
And then it'll go off now.
That's the thing, yeah, is trying to get rid of the thin
So
stuff.
what you can see, you might better see, you're dragging this spool round.
It's very fluid.
Yeah, it will be very, that's actually going quite quickly because it's actually putting down quite a bit of material. Okay? So what you really want is to bond it to either that blue tape, okay, or this bed underneath there.
How much is like one roll of that?
That is about 40 quid-ish.
How many?
You can get them cheaper. There's a trade-off, isn't there? There's a trade-off where you go too cheap and they don't actually function massively well. Some of them, it's just really interestingly, it says here, okay, only use genuine MakerBot filaments, okay, tested and optimised for all MakerBot printers. Using a third-party filament may void your warranty. Now, MakerBot's filament costs about twice the price.
What?
So you're thinking, do I, don't I? This isn't actually MakerBot filament, no, because you've got to try and economise a little bit, but it's pros and
How
cons.
much do you use?
So,
I'd spend like 30
if you want to sort of filter through, have a little look at it. We are going to pop back upstairs and fill this in, my guys. I'll leave that on the side for us to have a quick look at.
Mine costs them 27.
Another thing I should mention, guys, another thing I should mention, just before we do go, there is a website, okay, and it is, I think MakerBot actually, Thingiverse. So on Thingiverse, what you will find,
How big can you get 3D printers?
so what you can get on Thingiverse, guys, is that you'll find models, okay, have been uploaded to this, okay, as STL files, okay, which is great, okay, so you can go and get something. We had a guy in the shelves made a boat from various sections that he just downloaded. The only slight issue is STL files. If you want to edit them, yes, you can, but they're not massively easy, okay, because they're all those triangles that I was explaining to my guys. It is doable. It's not easy, but it's well worth having a quick look on here, okay. There's some really quite cool stuff. Okay, that's called Thingiverse. Okay, so filter past it, have a little look. Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Johnson. Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Johnson, have you got anything to say to the camera before we finish? Or?
Thank you very much.